Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals podcast. My name is Donnie Druin, joined by my main man, Richie Bradshaw. Before we get into the nitty gritty, go ahead and follow us on Twitter, X, whatever the cool kids call it, at Richie Brads36, at Donnie Druin. And Richie, I just realized we are really playing into the stereotype of the two white dudes with backwards hats on the podcast. So
It's
go
Hot
us.
Boy Summer, baby.
It is Hot Boys.
We are just representing.
I'll let you know when I see the Hot Boys. It's been a minute, man. It's been a very long time since we hopped on and we recorded an episode. Um, as for me, went back to Pittsburgh for a wedding. That was really nice. The Euros are going on. Copa America is going on right now. So repping the soccer kit. How are you?
Dude, I'm sick every other day from all the allergies and the what's it called? Is it barometric pressure? Whatever it is from all the monsoons and everything are just giving me the worst migraines. But I'm up and down. Hopefully, we'll be trending more up moving forward because I miss talking about sports.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute minute. And for those who don't know, Richie Bradshaw, he's the host of Locked on Sun Devils, and we are approaching 1K subscribers on the channel very, very soon. So go ahead. Oh, what's the tag for that?
The YouTube is just Locked on Sun Devils. The Twitter is LO_Sun Devils.
There we go, and there it is. So we can kind of been bouncing up and down on different ideas and different topics to talk about just in terms of podcasting, because it has been a couple weeks since we recorded, and now we're at like peak dead season for NFL stuff. Like we're still it's just about a month away from training camp starting, and I can't wait to be out there, give all the coverage for everybody here possible. But it's going to be a really rough stretch of weeks for content creators like you and I, Richie, until Colin Cowherd opens his mouth. And I think that's a very good segue into the topic and the reason why people are here. The national media, for whatever reason, cannot stop talking about Kyler Murray. And if they were somewhat reputable, decent takes, I would completely get it. I would completely understand it. But it seems to be, Richie, the same old narrative that follows the former number one overall pick. So he did a podcast over the weekend, obviously Colin Cowherd, Fox Sports Radio. The headline, the thumbnail on YouTube says Kyler Murray needs to grow up for Arizona Cardinals. Kyler is heading to his 6th year, I believe. Last year, rehabbed a torn ACL, came back second half of the season, had a very, very promising start. The Cardinals surrounded him with weapons all across the offense. They hope the defense got better. I'm still kind of holding my breath on that. But case in point, the Cardinals really like where they're heading. They really like where Kyler Murray is heading. Just so everybody here knows, I am perusing the interwebs for Arizona Cardinals news, analysis, insight, and more every day of my life. That is my job. That's what I do to earn a living. Very thankful for that. But if something goes on with the Arizona Cardinals, typically I see it and typically I know. So it was a very big surprise to me whenever I pulled up YouTube and I saw this 8-minute long video of Colin Cowherd and his co-host talking about Kyler Murray in video games, which is, we can get to the chase right now, a very, very poorly drawn out excuse for people to not like Kyler Murray. I am so sick of it. We'll get that in a minute though. Cowherd said, quote, he's accurate. He's a playmaker. He's got a poorly owned franchise to the playoffs in a tough division. I think the gaming thing is a huge stigma. I think older GMs look at it and think, quote, Jesus, grow the F up, like this guy's addicted to gaming. And then his co-host a little bit further down says, I think the gaming thing represents something that a lot of people had question marks on. How hard was he willing to work, and how much did football mean to him? Because there were some question marks early on in his career. And it felt a lot like high school. There aren't that many people there, and everybody knows everybody, and word travels fast because there is no disrupting. Take it away.
Did something happen recently to provoke this conversation?
No.
So what are we doing?
Like I told you, I am so locked in to trying to find anything to talk about whenever it comes to the Cardinals, especially with Kyler Murray. If something happens, I know. And this came from way out of left field.
Here's the difference between you and Colin Cowherd. You're not throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks.
Sometimes.
We're doing everything we can to stay on top of news. Colin Cowherd is in the business of takes, and this is a take. This is one of the most old, tired, and used up takes when it comes to Kyler Murray. It's something that people have been talking about for years, and I just don't get it at this point anymore, especially when like nothing has happened recently. You're talking about a guy who tore his ACL in December of 2022, worked and rehabbed his way to be able to play a year later in the middle of the season. Last I checked, grinding on double XP weekends on Call of Duty isn't going to help your rehab. You know what is going to help your rehab is sitting there in the lab doing everything that you need to do to rebuild the strength in your knee, and then looking at film and being able to pop back onto the field and at least play at a average level. Kyler Murray is a good football player at the end of the day. Like you said, he could always be better. Sure, everybody could. Patrick Mahomes could be better. There's always room for people to improve. But there's no questioning that Kyler Murray is a good football player. And like you said, going into year 6, Donnie, I feel like we should stop questioning the video game stuff. The other thing is like it's a hobby. It's not like he's pursuing MLG careers. It's not like he's somebody who is spending time during regular season football, during OTAs, missing OTAs or anything like that to play video games. It's not like that at all. And like, I just don't respect that opinion at this point anymore. Like, was there ever validity to it? Meh. I mean, you could if you really wanted to make it a point, but at this point in his career, what are we doing? Like, to me,
So let's talk about it, man. Let's get very honest about
hit
Kyler
me.
Murray, and I think I'm going to put that as the headline of this video. Let's have an open and honest conversation about Kyler Murray. Okay, I look at Kyler's career right now, although it's still very short in the second part, as pre ACL tear and
Mhm.
post ACL tear. Kyler, serial winner, highly regarded as one of the best high school football players ever. Goes to Oklahoma, wins the Heisman Memorial Trophy, gets drafted #1 overall, leads the Cardinals to a postseason berth. And then from there, things kind of sputtered. You can talk a lot about Kyler 3, 4 years ago. He was immature. He was still learning how to be a franchise quarterback. The study clause, I'll admit, I looked at that and I was like, why does this even need to be added? Right.
Right.
That raised a lot of question marks. Him removing all of the posts from like any like Cardinals like relations before he got the contract extension.
That's
I get
always
it.
weird.
There was a bunch of drama with that. Sure, you could say a lot about Kyler Murray in the past. Since Jonathan Gannon has arrived and Monty Austin arrived last offseason, Kyler Murray has done nothing but put his head down and work. And we have heard from top to bottom, Richie, general manager, head coach, teammates. Do you know how many players we've talked to this offseason and said, hey, I got here at 6 a.m. Kyler Murray was already there for an hour and a half working out. Kyler's head is so deep into the playbook, trying to get Drew Petzing's offense down for a full offseason for the first time so he can connect with Marvin Harrison Jr., so he can hand the ball off to James Conner, so he could really get this thing up and running. And the thing that always puzzled me was when you're a serial winner like Kyler Murray is, and when you come to the NFL and you lose on such a consistent basis, that's got to drive you, like, forgive my French, that's got to drive you fucking crazy. That has to drive you absolutely nuts, right? And the fact that people would look at a person in his position and think he is very content with the way things are going is just laughable to me.
It's it's just old. Like, this is I don't even know how you can justify making that comment in 2024. It's it's inaccurate at this point. It's not even something that has validity to it. Does he play video games? Yeah. 80% of men in America do. Don't quote me on that actual statistic.
You know what's funny? Bringing that up, Marquise Brown streams.
Yep.
Nobody said a
Never heard it about him.
word.
You know what's funny? He was one of the first guys who popped into my head. You know who else streams? A lot of guys. Tyreek Hill does a lot of streaming. I don't hear anyone talking about Cheetah. Like, it's so
granted,
weird.
they have seen different levels of success, right? But just in terms of being an NFL player on a week-to-week basis, does Kyler still play video games? Probably. You know, I don't know him super well off the football field. I can tell you there was a time whenever I had a one-on-one with him in the locker room, and the Call of Duty had updated the map or something. I forget what it was. It was like a year or two ago. And I'm like, hey man, like, have you played a new map? And he's like, no. He's like, I really haven't touched it. And
you probably pissed him off.
No. He was super cool about it. Like there was like that comment was genuine. Yeah. He legitimately like just there's no reason to touch it when your football team's 3-6, when your football team's 3-7, right? And I think we said this on the show before, Richie. I don't think it's a coincidence that after Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury left, all of the chatter around Kyler stopped. Yep. All of the internal leaks coming from Arizona about Kyler, about everything that was going wrong, about the study clause and the contract and all of this other stuff, that's gone. Since Gannon and Ossenfort got here, right, putting it lightly, since Gannon and Ossenfort got here in the desert in 2023, you have heard nothing, and I mean nothing, but positive things said about Kyler Murray whenever he was rehabbing, whenever he came back, and how he's projecting into 2024. And that's not coach talk. It's not GM talk, because I've had the pleasure of talking to JG away from the cameras, and he wholeheartedly believes Kyler Murray is that dude. I promise you. Like, he's not fronting for the camera. He's not saving face. He's not trying to save his job. He wholeheartedly believes in Kyler Murray. And that's one of the reasons why he took this job. And it's just, like, wrapping this back around to Kyler really quick, he has such an opportunity ahead of him. I am so excited to see what the Cardinals can do. Are they going to be a playoff team? Probably not. Should they improve from their 4-13 record? I think so. I think a good idea for a podcast episode a little bit later down the road is exactly what's acceptable as improvement for 2024, but we'll cross that bridge whenever we get there.
Yeah.
We saw how they played last year with Murray at the helm. They averaged a touchdown more per game with Murray leading the way. Feels like a lot. 3 of the 4 wins came with Murray at the helm. And if they didn't make a phone call to Mr. Matt Prater and say, hey, we got the Marvin Harrison Jr. jerseys printed, do not make any of these 2-game winning kicks, Arizona would have had 5 wins, right?
Yeah.
Call it how we see it.
Call it how we see it, man.
Trey McBride, budding tight end. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. Last I checked, Michael Wilson was a pretty good receiver. Greg Dortch is going to get his first full-time opportunity in the slot. Oh, Zay Jones was added to the mix. And then you're returning the NFL's one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL with James Conner and Trey Benson, drafted out of Florida State. You got the league's best rookie blocking tight end, Tip Raymond, to make sure that success on the ground continues. And if we want to talk about Kyler, and I think the cool thing about this is that I am all for talking about Kyler's play, right? What you put on film, you and I can talk about, because that's not BS. That's not scuttlebutt. That is literally your output on the performance. That is what you control. We can talk about it. Richie, I went back and I watched his last game against Seattle. Sure, there were a handful of throws that you would like to see Kyler Murray make. There were some reads where I'm like, okay, you know, granted, I'm just a chubby dude behind a laptop watching this 7 times over before I find the open receiver in coverage. Probably a little bit tougher for a quarterback processing that in real time, but you saw the glimpses. You saw Kyler Murray almost hand the Seahawks the concrete L and prevent them fully from getting into the postseason, right? so much to like. And the fact that I'm going to hand this over to you in a minute so I can stop rambling, like stop word vomiting. But the fact that there are Cardinals fans actively and openly rooting against Kyler Murray
We're still
blows
doing
my
this.
mind. Blows my mind, Richie. And that's coming from somebody who is not a Cardinals fan, and that's talking to somebody who is also not a Cardinals fan. It blows my mind.
What are we doing? Why are we still rooting against Kyler Murray? There's a million reasons to root for him if you are an Arizona Cardinals fan. There's not very many if you're like scraping the bottom of the barrel. I got nothing. We're rooting against him apparently. We're talking about his issues, quote unquote issues playing video games apparently. We're just finding stuff to hate on Kyler Murray for. Donnie, if you made a top 10 most hated players in the NFL, Murray's got to be top 5 at worst.
He's up
So,
there.
from his own fan base,
Yeah.
from his own fan base, he is getting consistently disrespected. Now you've got media members, and Colin Cowherd and his co host may not be everybody else, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm sure there's a lot of pundits out there who still have that shared opinion and that groupthink around Kyler Murray. And it's ridiculous at this point. Like,
It's most of the national media because they didn't watch the Cardinals last year, man.
right. Well, man, that's what happens when you're not a good football team is people aren't going to tune in. But then unfortunately, you start running into situations where people think that they know everything and they want to throw opinions out there. And like I said earlier, Colin Cowherd is throwing shit at the wall to see if it sticks. Like this is bad journalism. This isn't good. It's shameful. It's disrespectful to Kyler Murray, to the people in the industry that are actually trying to generate content instead of just saying obscure shit. Like this is TMZ kind of crap. Like, sorry to go on a bit of a rant there, but it's stupid from Cowherd. And for the fans hating on Kyler, if you're one of those people, leave a comment. I would love to
No,
know why there is still hate. No, genuinely, like I want to know what the thought process is behind it as respectfully as possible because I don't get it. I truly do not get it.
look, man,
Why we're
I
still
am
hating him.
so open to conversation. If Kyler
Exactly.
goes out and
Conversation.
if Kyler goes out and shits the bed this year, I will be so happy to sit here and talk about what are we doing, Kyler? Come on,
Right.
like you got the keys to the Corvette. It's nice and shiny for you. The oil just got changed. You're driving it, man.
He
What are
got
we
a
doing?
Maserati.
Okay, that was good.
Come on, you teed that
That was
up.
good. That was good. That was good. I will be more than happy to deconstruct Kyler's play, good or bad. I am so excited for that. I love watching film. I love flexing our football knowledge on the show whenever we can. Not often, but whenever we can. For people who think that Kyler isn't this leader, he was in the facility the entire offseason when he could have been working out somewhere else. Wasn't Will Levis just in Mexico throwing balls to his receivers? Kyler Murray was at like Sunrise Mountain High School, like different high schools throughout the valley, with his entire group of guys throwing, getting that work, and took them on trips, did a little team bonding. Like I said, like continued to stay at the facility and worked through there the entire offseason, right?
Right.
Has taken full command of the locker room, is a legitimate leader now. I don't think we could have said that about Kyler a couple of years ago. I'll full honesty. I think something clicked after he tore his ACL. I think he kind of had to
Like a
take a
no
step
shit
back
moment.
and say, "Okay, I gotta go. Like clock's ticking. Now's the time. I gotta go." I think he has come leaps and bounds from that December game on Monday Night Football against the Patriots whenever he went out with that injury. I think he's such a different person, and I also think he's a different player too. And I will open this back up to criticism because there are things Kyler Murray can do better, and there are things he should do better, right? There's a talk about how he can't really see over the middle of the field and how, that kind of does take away from certain things. And maybe with the size, he does feel the need to maybe extend the play a little bit more outside of the pocket, and that can disrupt some timing. His reads aren't always there when he should be. The decision making is 50-50. And Richie, I thought Bruce Arians, who did a excellent interview with PHNX's Craig Morgan, said the evaluation for Kyler is very much still up in the air, and I think that's totally fair. I think that is 1,000% warranted because we don't know what Kyler Murray is going to look like, for better or for worse, in this new offense.
Sure.
But from everything we know, from everything we've seen, in this new system where he's under center, they're establishing the run. Drew Petzing did such a wonderful job of mixing in play action last year, especially whenever Kyler Murray did come back. I think it's going to open up so much more now that he has a legitimate weapon in Marvin Harrison Jr., on top of all the other guys trying to chip in and contribute on their own. I'm so excited for Murray. It's still just crazy to me that not even fans for a second, the outside media, the national media,
Right.
they can have questions, but they're looking at the wrong things, and it's as simple as that.
Yep. It's a crazy ex-girlfriend that won't let a fight go. Like, we're just forever going to hold on to the video game thing, and it just gets old after a while. So I'm tired of it personally. When you brought it up to me as a conversation, I rolled my eyes, and it's annoying. It's not you, it's not Kyler, it's Cowherd and anybody else with that same group think. So it's just it's June 26th, 2024 as we are recording this, and we are looking for stuff to talk about. Kyler Murray is one of the most well-known players in football. Let's do some yellow journalism, I guess.
Yep. So, yeah, man, it's not astonishing. I don't want to put such a strong word on it. So interesting. It's so interesting being at the facility, talking to coaches, talking to players, and just seeing like what the outside perception is of somebody like Colin Coward. And like I'm not slandering Coward at all because he has accomplished so much in his career. That the audience that he's built, the work that he's done is just incredible. You don't get to where he's at by being whatever adjective you want to throw in there. But you just need to talk to maybe one or two people here and just get a grip of, okay, you know what? That's not the old Kyler. The last time we were talking about Kyler Murray, they were 7-0, and then they fell apart at the end of the regular season. Then they got their ass kicked by the Rams in that playoff game. That's really the last time we all, as a football landscape, really stopped putting Kyler Murray under the microscope. We haven't really looked at him since. I think people would do themselves a world of good to kind of just refresh their memory, jog their memory once more before 2024 kicks off. Because if it goes like you and I will think it goes, Richie, there's a lot of people in for a surprise.
Yep. I think this could be a career year for Kyler, and I'm really excited to see the confidence that he has coming back from that knee injury and the chemistry that he is building with Marvin Harrison Jr., with Michael Wilson, with Greg George, with James Conner, with Trey McBride, and Drew Petzing. This is going to be a very telling year for Kyler Murray. It's one of the most important years of his career, if not the most important season for him. But I think we're going to be in for a good year. I think we're in for a Pro Bowl season. You can put that down, anyone, if you want to come back to this in 6 months and see if I'm right or wrong. But I think this is going to be a Pro Bowl season for Kyler Murray.
Look, and I'll say it again. If Kyler completely craps to bed, we will be the first person in line to question it, right?
Right.
But until he does or until he doesn't, this is such a massive year for him. And the really cool thing is that he has every opportunity to rewrite the narrative about him.
Yep.
Every opportunity, but it's on him. It's on him. So, if they get out to like a slow start, if they start maybe 2-5, 2-6, which they very well could. It's a very tough start to the season. If they get off to a really slow start out of the gates, you're going to hear a lot of chatter. You're going to hear a lot of talk.
Yep.
Not from me, not from you, not from the local people in the media room, everywhere else. And that gets old really quick.
Yes,
So,
it does.
obviously, we're kind of preaching to the choir here. Kyler needs no extra motivation, no extra reality check, I would call it. But until then, until we hit training camp, man, it's just leave the video game stuff alone, man. Kyler Murray's not the same guy he was 2 or 3 years ago. Quite frankly, none of us should be. None of us should be. Hopefully people don't go through a lot of the life-changing events that Kyler had to go through. I don't want to tear my ACL, but you know what? Stuff happens, right?
Well, you got another Turkey Bowl to start getting prepared for, dude.
That's right. Hashtag Turkey Bowl Prep 2K25, baby. I'm here.
see if you can get another MVP on your mantle. If there's room for it.
#1 overall pick, man.
Yep.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for that. So, any closing thoughts before I head out?
No, I think we had everything to say at this point. Stop talking about video games. That's all I got. Like, come up with something different. If you're gonna hate on Kyler for something, then don't do video games and don't do height, because we've heard that forever. Come up with something different. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe he's got a bad haircut or something. Like,
look, man, as a tier 1 hater, I completely agree. Like, there's so many things you can go after people for. Just leave the past stuff in the past, man. You got to be innovative. You got to find something new. That's right. All right, we are going to head out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the All Cardinals podcast. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at DonnieJoe. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.